Hello everyone, welcome to the stream and to this live review of the brand new Just Flight Fokker F28 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. And got a pretty fun stream for you today. Hi everyone, good to see you. Hi Claw, hi Fenrir, hi James Martin. Hope it's not Tuesday. Oh, did I say Tuesday? Happy Thursday. Should be a fun stream here. We've got a brand new plane. We're gonna give it a good old shakedown flight from Stockholm Arlanda over to Oslo Gardermoen Airport. Flying slant whiskey, so VOR to VOR. And it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I've already given it a bit of a test fly because I was mildly concerned that I would crash it immediately on takeoff on tonight's stream. So I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get there, and I'm hoping that I can show off some of the cool features of this brand new aircraft for simulator. So here we are. Here it is. We'll take a little outside look of the external model before we hop inside. So let's hop into the drone camp and take a look. So I'm pretty happy with the modeling on this, the texturing as well. I guess you could say that some of these textures, you know, these 4K textures anyway, are not quite as perfect as you would want, but even at just a very normal viewing distance here, you know, I don't know what this is, like a meter or two away from the plane, it looks really, really nice. I particularly like that Just Flight do these planes as like aged aircraft rather than as shiny new ones, and you'll see that in the cockpit as well. So yeah, obviously we're in Stockholm, so I thought it was appropriate to fly the Scandinavian Airlines livery, which is really nice. Very different from the modern SAS livery though, isn't it? The plane has all its static ports and vents and drains, just as you would want to see them. Landing gear, something that people always like to take a look at. I guess that's pretty well detailed enough that unless you're up here in the wheel well, you're really not gonna notice anything wrong with it. It's even got like, what's this? Actuator or something there, very interesting. Yeah, a nice detailed external model. I really like, whoa, we've gone very fisheye here. A nice detailed external model. You'll notice that the external model changes ever so slightly dependent on the livery that you've got. So here the SAS version actually comes with these engine hush vents or hush kit to slightly reduce the noise from these turbojet engines, which are notoriously like super noisy. We'll probably remove the hush kit, which we can do in the EFB in the cockpit, so that we get the full noise from the plane once we get going. But yeah, it's quite good that per livery you get some slight customizations depending on what the real plane, I guess, had. The aircraft also comes with a really good, highly detailed manual, like 250-page manual. And a particular section that I like is for all of the liveries and versions that they've included, they have put a little bit of background on the airframe and the livery and the tail number and everything in the manual, so you can read up like when this particular plane was first came off the production line, when it first flew for Scandinavian, and really interesting for those aviation history buffs. So yeah, it looks really nice on the outside. No particular issues that I've spotted anyway. The model all looks very complete and smooth. The textures all look as good as you'd want them to be without impacting performance. Here's a nice view of the front of the turbojet engine. No big spinny blades on the front of these engines. This is just a set of directional vanes to guide the air into the engine, right? It's not a turbofan, it's a turbojet, so kind of interesting difference. But yeah, I really like the way it looks on the outside. How about we jump onto the inside, open the doors, and take a look at that. So yeah, it comes with an EFB here. You can see our route for today, Stockholm to Oslo. But first, we're going to hop over to the aircraft. Oh, you can also link it to your sim brief, as you can see, which I should have done. And it automatically loads in your fuel and passengers and cargo based on your sim brief, most recent sim brief. That's good. What we might do is connect ground power, get a bit of power to the aircraft, and then we'll open up all of our doors here. And we'll start boarding so that we can take a look around this cockpit while that's happening. Setup is very similar to a lot of other old planes. Battery is by there, external power is by there, and as if by magic things start to come to life. So that means now that we can, I guess, open some doors and start boarding. I like that when you click that jetway button, everything starts doing stuff. It does work with GSX, although at the moment I do think that the GSX profile needs a little bit of tweaking, so I'm not going to use GSX today because I want to show the plane off in its best possible light. But we will sort of demonstrate that when you click the forward PAX button, the door opens, the jetway comes down. We've obviously got all of our cargo doors, service doors, and everything by there. How long is Stockholm to Oslo? That's a good question. It's a relatively short flight. I wanted to keep it sort of short and snappy for this first flight in the plane. It's about 45 minutes in the air, although the setup will take a little time as we kind of demo this first time that we've been in this plane on the stream. So, as you can see, our door is open, our chappie is there with his jetway. Here's the modeled cabin. We'll take a walk through the cabin all the way down to the end and take a look out the windows and everything once we're in the air. Oh, we've got a bit of timing cruise. I think as everyone, if you've seen anything about this on YouTube already, you would see that it's the first plane that has a modeled flight attendants panel. So we can, you know, ping the cabin from here. We can start some music. We can change the temperatures from here and so on. Pretty cool. Still working on your VATSIM qualifications, is it, James? Close that door. We'll assume that while this stuff is going on, boarding is happening, right? So, I guess let's take a look through the EFB first. So yeah, you can see your SimBrief OFP. Your METAR data is nicely imported for you. There's your OFP output from SimBrief if you like reading it like that. It's got a very basic ground map here, which, you know, you can see your aircraft's position in space. If you don't have charts or anything, I guess it's helpful. But fortunately, as well as this, we also have a charts app, which I was going to say I did log in. And if you click departure, then it loads in the departure charts for Stockholm Arlanda here. And we'll be able to see how we kind of get out of here. So we pull up the taxi chart, for example, for Stockholm. See There we are. We're parked somewhere down here on the apron. We're going to be taking runway 19 today, so we got a little taxi out there. Good to have charts in the EFB, definitely. You can take notes, so if you're doing some flights on VATSIM, you can type here, or you can get your pencil out and you can be like, you know, write down your SID with some terrible mouse writing, climb to 5,000 feet initially, and squawk 3, 2, 4, 4, 7, and don't try and write with your mouse, but you can use it for that. I think that's kind of useful. Might use it at some point in the future for that when we're doing this on VATSIM. That eraser is not very effective, is it? It's got a really good checklist which we will use, and a top of descent calculator which we will use today. And you got a few settings that you can change, but not a whole lot in there, to be honest. The main thing, I guess, is this aircraft page, where we can also do a few things and change a few options here. So I'm going to turn the flip chart options, which helps with bugging the speeds, and I'm going to remove those hush kits if I can find it. There it is, hush kit. So we'll remove that so we got nice loud engines for when we get going. You can also turn on the GPS here. So we're going to be flying slant whiskey today, and so we're going to keep the weather radar in. But if you want to swap that weather radar out for a GNS 530, and you can tick that GPS navigation and fly via GPS waypoints. A bit more modern way of navigating if that's what you're more comfortable with in the sim. But these planes never had any GPS IRL, so obviously got someone just loading in with the world's loudest engines. That's good. I might just turn the sim volume down just a little bit while we're setting up. Yep. We'll turn it back up when we get taxiing so you can hear the engines and everything. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of an overview. Obviously we've done our people and weights and balance here, so it's time to start setting up the overhead, I guess. I believe that's the overhead button. There's two views that help us look at the overhead. I guess some people, when they see an old school... Drop my Xbox controller. I guess some people, when they see an old school panel like this, they get a bit scared. Actually, some of these old school panels are a bit more simple because everything's quite nicely laid out, and it kind of guides you through it from left to right and top to bottom, just like a modern panel anyway. So, as we've got people on board, we're going to start the APU so that they can start getting some air conditioning. What we'll just do first of all is just check that the gen is off there. We'll check that the APU air is off, which it is. And we'll check that all of our bleeds are off. That's all good. And then what we're going to do is turn the APU master on. And then we're going to press the start button. Now what I'm going to do now, for those of you watching the stream as opposed to the VOD, I'm going to stop the music so that we can hear the aircraft. And I might do something a bit quickly here as well. If we can go to options, down, other aircraft sounds, just turn them down a bit. Thanks to everyone who's flying along with us today. I want to hear our aircraft today, not the aircraft. So, yeah, you can hear just about the APU winding up in the background now, and obviously you can see things are kicking into gear here. This is the Just Flight, yeah, the F28 Just Flight that was just released today. That's right. So that APU is coming up. We got 100% speed. We got 400 degrees on the TGT. We're going to turn the gen on so that we've got APU power there. There we go. Immediately got some load on the generator, And we're going to turn APU air on, and as if by magic you can see that we're starting to supply air into the cabin. Just like that, some air pressure coming up. Very nice. No, tonight's first flight is not going to be on VATSIM. Probably second flight will be. First flight is really focused on like showing off the plane as best we can. And, you know, trying to get it from A to B because it is the first time that I've flown it on stream. So that's the goal today, and try and do it as realistically as possible. So APU's on, APU gen is on. What we might do now is turn off external power. Check if we haven't killed the plane, which I think we're okay. So far, everything's still lit up. And we'll get rid of the ground power there. And we'll start closing up some doors. And while those doors are closing, there's a little bit more that we can do here, so we can turn out emergency lights armed. We finished boarding, so we can turn our seatbelt signs on. And I want to get rid of this chappie. No offense, chappie, but every time I look to the right, I have a heart attack by that guy. So fortunately, you can turn that off. Somewhere in here, cockpit pilots, there we go. Now our co-pilot's disappeared. We'll put some windshield heating on, just on low, there. That will start things working. We'll put our pitot heat once we start taxiing. Don't want to burn out those pitot heaters. And the only other thing up here is our pressurization panel and our cockpit voice recorder. So we'll just do a test of the cockpit voice recorder. That worked. And I think our cruising altitude today is 28,000 feet. So it's a very manual pressurization system. So we need to set our cabin altitude by winding this to align to 28,000 feet. Means our cabin altitude is going to be around about 5,000 feet. Yep. That'll mean that when we close everything up, we will start pressurizing to that. Nice. Okay, let's move down to the center pedestal and get this thing set up. Yeah, it's just available for the PC at the moment. They have said that they will release it on Xbox. They haven't given a timeline for that. I'd expect they will want to do it because it's a good source of income for them. But yeah, they're probably gonna leave it a few weeks, make sure all the any PC related bugs are ironed out, and then they can sort of start working through things or making it ready for Xbox. The good thing is they have proven that they can do it. The BA146 is, you know, similarly complex. And that's available for Xbox, so I'm pretty sure they will bring it for Xbox. I just turned our master radio switches on. Down here we've got our HF radios, got our VHF radios, we've got our autopilot master panel, which we won't touch until we start flying. Then we've got a whole strip of lights here, so what we're going to do is turn our nav lights on first. Go. And we'll come back to turning all the other lights on. Okay. Keep moving up the overhead panel if I can get a good view. We don't have any fuel in our center tank, so we do have fuel in our wing tank, so turn our fuel pumps on by there. And then our sort of fake but kind of interesting anyway weather radar to stand by and have it ready to go. There's lights all over this plane, as you would expect from an old plane like this. So as I look around the cabin, I'll just start turning some lights on just to make things a little bit more visible, you know. Hopefully we can find all the integ lights as well, so that we can actually see the backlighting. I think I saw those up here. Up here, maybe. One there, and there's one there. Okay, we're getting there, hey. There's a number of tests that we can do down here. Obviously, fire tests will work quite nicely. There's our engine fire test, and so on. Good. Hello. But yeah. So the plane, relatively easy to set up, I would say, as old school aircrafts go. We've pretty much already done a whole lot of the setup. In terms of the autopilot, we'll work through that once we get flying, but there is some setup that we'll do here. We're going to set it up to pitch up to just less than 10 degrees to get going, and we're going to take off on a runway heading, so we'll set the flight director to command heading. There is going to be some radio work that we're going to have to do, nav radio work that we're going to have to do. For now, let's just set our altitude here before I forget to 28,000 feet. Alright, we're getting there. We're getting there. So what we're going to do now is, I think, dismiss this jetway and close the front door. Get rid of the chocks. There's the jetway going. Thank you. We'll use the inbuilt pushback system. There we go. Now close the pack's door. That's on this side over here. Door's closing. Very good. Now we'll get rid of the chocks. And then there's also some beacon lights down here, which we need to turn on. There we go. Anti-coals are on. Very good. Rose Tiger, hello. Welcome to this brand new plane. Brand new plane for the simulator, which is the Just Flight F28 Fokker. I think what we'll do is we'll turn our transponder on and to mode Charlie. Just because, you know, get into good practice before we fly it on VATSIM. And similarly, we'll put 122.8 on 1. Get into good practice. And the volume up our HF radios. It's looking a bit grubby, yes. It's got very good, like, worn textures in the cockpit, which I really like. Obviously, this plane would be 60 years old or something IRL, so it's not going to be perfectly perfect by any means. So let's use the charts here to figure out what we're going to do. So we're down here on Apron Charlie Delta. We're going to taxi out on to taxiway Yankee up to the end of runway 19 right for our departure. And then we need to do a departure. So before I do that, actually, 19 right is 184 on the heading bug. The heading bug is controlled over here on the mode control panel. But it moves the heading bug down here on the cost deflection indicator. So 184 is going to be runway heading about there. Yeah, that's set up. Now we'll find our SID for our departure. And we are going to be going to our first VOR of Alpha Romeo Sierra. Forgive me for not knowing what it's called. From runway 1 right. So it's going to be one of these two first charts for us. I'll just check which one it is. This one looks good. So we got a 1 right departure from our lander out to Aros VOR. So here's our departure. And as you can see, we're going from 19 right and we're non-RNAV. So we don't normally fly non-RNAV on the stream. But today we are. We don't have a GPS. We're going to use conventional radio navigation. And instructions for this departure are climb on 184, which is runway heading, to 2 DME from Stockholm Arlanda. So that's the first thing we're going to have to do is tune in Stockholm Arlanda so that we've got distance measurements. Then we're going to turn right onto a 239 track, maximum of 220 knots. Continue the climb to 2,100 feet or above. And then at 5 miles from Stockholm Arlanda, expect radar vectors to Aros VOR. We're not going to have air traffic control. We're not on VATSIM just for this first flight while we demo the plane. So what we'll do instead is fly direct to Aros once we are 5 miles from Stockholm. So on our Nav 1, we're going to tune in 116.0, is our lander. Over here. 6.0. You have to remember to turn that knob on. And then there's another hidden knob back over here. The other one, Nav 2. And on Nav 2, we're going to put AROS, which is 112 decimal. We're all going to learn how to fly VOR radials once you pick up this plane, because if you haven't seen it already, it's a fun skill to learn. That's just a warning light as we were closing up the plane, I think. Okay, well, sure I've forgotten something. And guess what? There's a really good set of checklists here, which will help us get through things. So, before starting the APU, we've already got the APU started, but we'll check. We've done the batteries, done the APU fire warning test, we've got the APU on, we've reset the gen, we've got the APU air off before start, but now it's on, and the air conditioning main switches were set up. Okay, we checked those. Starting the APU, we've started it. The TGT and RPM is lit. We've got our Gen 3 switch on, that's providing us power right now, Gen 3 from the APU, and we turned our master radio switch. The pre-flight cockpit check. We do have electrical power. We did arm the emergency exit lights. Our constant speed drive disconnect switches, guards closed. So they are up here, and our guards are closed. Those CSDs are pretty cool. I'm sure I'll go on a little nerdy engineering rant about the need for CSDs in turbojets at some point. Engine panel, we'll check. And our bleed supply panel, we'll check. We've done the whole overhead, so engines are checked. Bleed air, we did. Air conditioning, we've set up. Airfoil anti-icing is not required. Engine anti-icing is not required. Pitot heat, we've checked. We'll turn it on in a bit as we get taxiing. Windshield heat, we've done. Pressurization panel, we've done. Seatbelt signs, we've turned on. Flare shear panel. Our nav radios are turned on. Our fire control valves are closed. Our fuel shutoff valve indicators should be indicating open. They are open on both sides. Good. Oh, thank you for the posture check, Harvest G. We'll do that right now. How about that? Interrupted my flow, but I'll allow it for the posture check. How about that? Thank you very much for that. Right, switching back to the 7 out of 10. All right, Harvest G, that's okay. Ground proximity warning system is hidden down here. It's guarded and turned on. That's all good. Right, there's a lot of checks here, so we're going to fly through this. Warning and caution system, we did those tests. We did check that the nose wheel steering switch is turned on. It is guarded and on. And our brake handles are forward. They are. Indicators are checked. Speed attitude command system we've done. Static pressure selector is on normal. And the compass is up. Well, I'm assuming it's that one. 3 and 3. Well, they're aligned at least, so that'll do for me. Pump switches, guards are closed. They are. And skid controls, we've done all those tests. Alright, central panel. Indicators are checked. Fuel pressure lights we did. Hydraulic supply we have checked. Fuel filter. Iced lights. Engine warning test. We did all of our tests. We'll say we did all of our tests. I don't think we did quite all of them. Our fuel quantity. Fuel is down here. Around here, isn't it? Oh, is this is fuel flow. Oh, aircraft weight is there. Probably would be good to know. Oh, there it is. Fuel quantity is down there. Look, we've got nothing in the center tank. We got 2.5 tons in both of our wing tanks. Lift dumpers. So this plane has something quite cool called a lift dumper. It doesn't have like the traditional auto braking system. Doesn't have reverse thrust, but it does have a lift dumper. I don't think we can deploy them on the ground without our engine hydraulics running, so that's where it's actuated. It does have a speed brake, does have flaps, just like planes you're probably used to. ETC switches are set for takeoff, so that's our kind of engine power control. They can be off there, they can be climb, or they can be takeoff, so they're all set for takeoff. Speed brakes, check, they're there. Flaps are checked, they're there. Thrust feeds are off. Booster pumps we turned on. Transfer pumps are not needed. Light switches are good. Communications and avionics, we're not using comms today. Autopilot, let's hope it works. Hydraulic flight control panel, I'm assuming that is up here somewhere with hydraulic. Down here, maybe this one. Hydraulic system control panel. Well, they're all in orange at the moment because we don't have our engines running, so that's... yeah, marketplace update tomorrow, Claw, but I can't help you with what might be installed, what might be coming. I'm afraid I don't really have any hints. Okay. Gear switch, compass. Man, there's a lot of checks here. Central warning, caution system. And that's done. Flight recorder we did look at. Okay, pre-departure check. APU is running. Our APU air is on. Our windshield heating is on. Our seatbelt signs are done. Our central warning caution system is done. Our skid control. Man, we're doing all these tests all over again. Aircraft weight is good. TTC switches still set for takeoff. Our nav lights are on, and our flight recorder we did. Okay, before starting engines, we're getting there, everyone. It's good that this is all here, right? Like, it literally will take you through it. Oh, also, if you are a bit scared by, you know, you don't know what a thrust index is, then what's really useful is that it also has these checklists in the in-sim checklists with the little blue eyes that pop up, so you can, for example, maybe that's a bad example. Anyway, some of them will point you to start a valve. Oh, there we go. Start a valve. Oh, it does the little blue eye, and it tells you where to start a valve. So that does work as well for most things. Ah, lost my checklist. Okay. Brake pressure. Parking brake is on. Is. Fuel quantities we've done. Pressurization we've done. Thrust index. Oh, thrust index, by the way, is set here. It's at the moment it's at 170 degrees on each side. You can scroll it up and down a little bit. If you're unsure, 170 is a good average. There's tables in the manual to help you kind of decide what you want to do. We're just going to set 170, and then when we accelerate on the runway, we're going to set 100% power, and that's how we're going to determine our takeoff for today. Plenty long runways here at Arlanda, so there's no safety risk with that. We probably could derate a little bit, but for today's first flight, we're going to play it safe. Papers are on board. Takeoff data is maybe set. Our bugs, we do have some bugs there. Takeoff flaps 11. Yeah, that looks right. A gust lock. The old famous gust lock. Planes with a gust lock, always remember to remove it and get your armrest out of the way as well. A number of times I've accidentally taken off with a gust lock still on and failed miserably to go anywhere. As all of the flight control services are locked. Doors are closed. All right, we're getting there. Anti-coal lights are on. Throttle levers are idle. HP fuel valve levers are shut. Booster pump switches are on. Starter master switch can go on, and we're about to start the engines. So our starter master switch can go on, and I think that's a very apt moment for us to do the pushback, isn't it? So we'll go aircraft. The plane has an inbuilt pushback tool, which is always good to see for those of you, especially if, you know, you're not using GSX or anything similar. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like our stand here has a back tug, so this might release the parking brake. Oh, it works. It works, it's just an invisible pushback tug. sadly. That's okay. While we're pushing back, we're going to start our right-hand engine. So we're going to do, we've got our start master on. We just flick over to starter engine 2, and the starter valve light opens, turns on. Right. And we're watching for, kind of like most planes are used to, we're waiting for our low pressure, I think it's called in a jet, in a turbojet, to roll up to like above 20%. Then we can put our start master fuel switch to start. That will start trickling fuel into the engine to enable an engine start. Probably we want to failed on the pushback, that's for sure, but let's aim for this line. And once we hit 50% and put it into forward, and you can hear the engine is starting up. Yeah, just like the 737. Yeah, a lot of these payware planes do have their own pushback tool, which I think is like indicative of the fact that obviously the sim itself doesn't have great pushback tool built in. So everyone kind of, all these add-on makers kind of done their own version. Hey, a very slow pushback, but it is sort of happening, isn't it? Happening slowly but surely. And that engine start looks pretty good. It's all stable. Start on the left now. Over to 1, and the starter valve goes again. And we'll go down here. And we've got another engine ramping up slowly. Parking brake. SC fan, I'll check it in a second. Once that hits 20-ish. I've done the parking brake on my Bravo quadrant. So I did flick it off, but there's a possibility that the Bravo quadrant is not mapped very well to the parking brake. So. Yeah, you might be right. There we go. Ah! You are right. Cancel. Cancel! There we go. Okay, there's a learning for me. The parking brake button that I've got mapped on my controls does not, and we can click that one, not do anything. Quite funny. Anyway. Low pushback, always the brake. Yeah, I've done it with chocks in before as well. That's always a good idea to check, eh? Taxi lights down there, we'll turn that on. Your driving lessons, yeah, we've all done it, hey. And we'll get rid of that for now. We should be able to do... Yep, nothing else to do, I think. The APU can now be turned off, and we can switch over to engine air. Let's get a view of this. So we can turn our start master off. Now watch these as we switch over from APU air to engine air. We'll switch that over, and the APU off, and it ramps down. I should have checked that these gens are going, but thankfully the AC load is all on those gens already. Okay, we can turn our air on here, nicely indicated. And we set our temperatures, just nicely there. There we go. That's good. And we're going taxi, so we'll turn our pitot heat on. Right. Parking brake is released. And I think we're ready for taxi. Yeah, runway 19 at right, that's right. Get onto this line because my pushback went very awry, didn't it? There we go. Bit of power, get us moving. Fairly complex. Yeah, fairly complex. Very, very, like, detailed model. But I don't think it's any more complicated than any of the other airliners. If people, like, see these old airliners and get scared by them, I wouldn't be scared by it. I find it, like, quite an intuitive setup. There's a few little buttons that you've got to remember to click, you know. Make sure you turn your DME on or turn your radio master on and stuff, but generally it's no more complex than learning the flow of setting up a modern airliner. Okay. Okay, let me just get charts for this departure ready to go. We're going to taxi down Yankee here. This is the Microsoft Flight Sim Nordic update, Stockholm Arlanda, by the way, not the payware from Orbex, and it's pretty good. Would have bought the Orbex one because I do like flying in the Nordics and Scandinavia quite a lot, but to be honest, this one's good enough. There's a lot of good freeware here as well. Turn of rudder steering in settings. Ah, okay. That's a good call, Vulcan, yes. You can also steer the... can also change your steering in the settings there. I think you can do something with the pushback steering as well to link that to your rudder. But... G'day, Jacko. Welcome. Just taxiing for takeoff here, down to the end of 19 right. Driving to Wyong, coming to Sydney for the weekend. Nice. Wyong's almost at Sydney, isn't it? Alright, this is idle Russ now, taxi, and we're picking up quite a lot of speed, eh? So, a little bit of brakes. Haven't done, I don't think, is set those quarters up. Yeah, we'll be lining up very shortly to join you there or on the runway. Thanks for flying along with us. Yeah, so we're actually we're not using a radial from the Arlanda VOR. We are just using it for the DME, but we are going to be using an inbound radial for the Aros VOR, so we'll just hold here on the hold short line and set that up. Looks like 266 is what we need, and we tuned that onto nav2 112.8. We'll do that in the second flight, Claw, today, so as to not interrupt the flow of this review flight. I will try and show your pics from the Discord, definitely. That's set up. This course, we might just set this course to runway heading so as to not really confusing CDI. 18. There we go. Okay, well, I think famous last words, but I think we've got everything set up and ready to go. So let's taxi out onto the runway. We'll turn our strobe light on there. Then we'll extend all of those lights, and we'll turn our landing lights on. Oops, cutting the corner a little bit, aren't I? There's lights for you. Very nice old school, like high intensity incandescent lights. Okay, let's tell the cabin crew.
Come through, please take your seats for landing.
Landing? No, takeoff.
Come through, please take your seats for takeoff.
Oops. There we go. That's funny. Okay, the cabin's secure. We're ready to go. So as I said, we're gonna just put the power in. When we get up to 100% here, then we will be good to go. Flight director is good, commanding just less than 10 degrees of pitch, and runway heading, which is about right to me. So let's start putting some power in. Yeah, that was quick, yeah. 5 stars, great flight. Power. Great. Putting the power in gently because you don't want to like flame out the engines in these old planes. Oh! Wait, stop. What was that? That always happens to me the first time I fly a plane, eh? Oh, they've turned on the music. Background. Why did we have a stop then? Pitch is good. Flaps, we haven't done flaps. That would have been problematic, hey? There we go. The parking brake. I think the parking brake is off. I think it was the flaps. Alright, that's the problem. We didn't do our departure checklist and then got caught out. There we go. It works. Oof, power set. I was like, oh no, what have I done wrong? Didn't follow the checklist. 80 knots. Fortunately, it's plenty long enough runway here for us to get this little regional jet up in the air. Rotate already. Go. Okay, we'll pitch up. Ooh, not that much. 10 degrees pitch. Gear up. Get you some jet sounds from outside. That's pretty nice. Okay, again, I think it's pitching up quite heavily here. My trim is not quite right. Better. Okay, so if you remember, we're flying outbound from the Stockholm VOR, 2 miles. We're nearly there already, look, 2 miles. And then we're turning right. Then we're turning right to 239. We'll set the heading bug now to 239. Like old school flying, a lot going on all at once. I think flaps can start coming up. Flaps can start coming up slowly. Turning at 239. Yep, there we go, that's 239. Didn't want my honeycomb to do anything. A little bit actually, does help. Okay, flaps all the way up. Climbing quite nicely, we're already through 5,000 feet. Oh, we've been overtaken. I'm not on VATSIM, that's just multiplayer traffic.
Set climb power.
Oh, set climb power. Been told to set climb power. I believe that's these TTCs to climb. And just pull back a tiny bit. Now we can turn direct to Aros VOR. So switch over to nav 2 and find the course that we want to fly to be direct. There we go. So we would get ATC vectors for direct here or something. We're instead just going to do a direct ourselves by lining the wheels up there on the VOR. And still hand flying just to get a feel for this thing. Kind of slowed down on the climb a little bit. I just realised we're now flying VOR, so we can change the commander flight director there. do both the flight director and the autopilot separately on this plane, so it is roaring through the sky. And just to make it a bit easier on myself here, I'm now going to look down here and the yaw damper on and the autopilot master on. And what that does is immediately engage roll and pitch, so we're holding our wings and our pitch exactly where they were. Now we're going to fly the localizer, as I was saying, so we'll put the beam mode on, that flies the localizer. We're going to hold our pitch here, but I want to accelerate just a little bit, so I've got a bit of power left in the tank. Put a bit more power in, and we need to climb. Once I get up to 250 knots, eventually, then what we'll do is go to IAS climb, and then we'll pretty much just leave it as it is as we climb up. It's not as fast as like one of the more modern jets, 737 or A320. To be honest, with what a handful it is, it's probably fast enough. All right, there's 250 knots, so we're going to go IAS climb now. And
2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff of the space.
Heavy. And there's IAS climb. We suddenly start climbing, rocketing up. Thank you very much, Abby. Welcome back to the stream. That's 10,000 feet, so I think we'll turn our lights off now. And we're probably well through transition as well, so we'll make sure that that is turned off. Strobes, navs, and anti-holes stay on. That's all looking good. We're probably well through transition, so I'll just find this to 1013. There we go. Still downloading. You have made the purchase, Abby. That's good. It's really good. I've enjoyed flying it today. Hopefully, as everyone sees through this like first flight. Bit of a handful, but very, very fun. Waiting for it forever. Cool. Well, I'm glad you finally got it then. Okay. How far have we got? We've got 21... Oh, we've got 20.5 miles until we hit Aros VOR. And then we're going to fly outbound from the Aros VOR on a 261. So we just need to change our course ever so slightly when we're in the cone of confusion, just to make sure we fly outbound correctly. And then our next VOR is Karlstad 117.8. So we'll get that tuned in over on this side, so that we're ready to flip-flop when we need to. And that course will also be 269, did I say? 261. Good old school aviation. Okay. So, I think that's all kind of set up and good to go. We're climbing nicely, 16,000 feet now, still 250 knots. And what I'm going to do is just check the pressurization panel here. So the cabin altitude is climbing, we're at about 2,500 feet. And the differential pressure is climbing. So we'll just keep an eye on that differential pressure just to make sure it doesn't... Hoping I've set it up correctly, but you never know. Cabin pressure is climbing, so I think we're going to be okay. We'll turn the seatbelt signs off now. Assuming those green lights are a good thing. I think green is good, right? Normally lights on the overhead panel is a bad thing, but I think green lights here in this case is good, so we're going to leave those alone. Thanks for flying along. Oh. Alright, 10 miles till we got this VOR. after this VOR, we've got a nice 100-mile leg where we're going to be able to go for a little walk through the cabin and take a look at some of the features down the back as well. How much is it? Yeah, thanks, Abby. This comes in at 69 US dollars, so I think I paid, what, just over 100 Australian dollars for it. So it's on the more expensive, nice. It's on the more expensive end of the add-on scale, definitely. Same price as the BAE 146, so kind of Just Flight keeping to their pricing regime. I think when I first saw the price, I did think that that's kind of pricey, kind of expensive. But I think, like, we have had obviously some good quality lower price planes recently. Sort of, if you think about the 737-600 from PMDG, that's so cheap for what you get there. Even the Phoenix is sort of $20 cheaper. And obviously then we've had some sort of, I guess, bonus subsidized type planes from Microsoft recently, like the ATR, which is great, but I would say is subsidized. But now that I've flown this plane and I've had a little bit of an experience of it so far, even though I've got plenty more to learn, as you've already seen from the setup just now, I think it is definitely on par with the 146 in terms of quality, and everything that you click is modeled. It hand flies really nicely. So far I don't really have anything that I could say that would say no, it's not worth the money. So if you like old planes and you're a fan of similar types of planes, you'll like this one. It's enjoyable, really enjoyable to fly. I've just realized we've just passed that VOR while I've been talking about the pricing there. So what we're going to do is just flip over to heading, and we'll dial this course in. Then we'll go back to beam, I guess. Oh, we might need to steer ourselves onto that beam, eh? Yeah, I saw that message from Jacko that Bonzo is stopping a route in Tamworth. I did see that news. I mean, I think any new airline, right, they're going to tweak their routes while they're new to try and optimize how much money they make, essentially. So it's not too surprising. Alright, so if I've got this all right now, we'll fly onto this radial, and then it'll intercept it, it'll turn right a little bit, and be good. Oh, definitely, they've flown some routes with a 737 MAX that I never thought I'd see be flown with a 737 MAX, Jacko. Very regional routes that they've really given a good go at. Okay, so I think we're on this radial pretty much. It seems to be lining up quite nicely. Still climbing, but we've only got 3,000 feet to go. I guess it's probably time to go for a walk through the cabin once we here get to our cruise altitude. I just want to make sure that it intercepts this cruise altitude and then holds it there, and then we'll go for a walk through the cabin. Maybe while we're waiting for that, we'll get some exterior views here. The old drone cam. Great looking plane. I love that they've included all these old liveries as well. There it is, flying. It's putting out a little bit of black smoke there, not too much, not like entirely destroying the planet all in one plane. It is pretty noisy, I'll give it that, that's for sure. These turbojets were known for being incredibly noisy. Yeah, well, I removed the hush kit. Just to get the full noise experience. Yeah, there are some rails down here. I'm not quite sure what they are for. They look like they're kind of attached to some kind of drain or something. Although that's probably a drain there, right? That's going to be the sink drain because it's beneath the galley. Is there a toilet in the back? That's probably the toilet drain there. Not sure what they are. They're part of the AOA vein. Oh, okay. There you go. Seems like they were that long ago, yeah. Yeah, it does have an AOA indicator, which is pretty rare on a commercial plane, eh? Go back inside, it's too loud up there. Okay. I think we can disappear the EFB like that. There we go. So, are we gonna hear... We are gonna level out by the looks of things at 28,000 feet. How long left? Well, Claw, you're flying the A320. You should be able to tell me. My plane doesn't have any fancy fancy FMC to be able to tell me how long left. So down the back here, nicely modelled. I think what everyone's interested in is the little panel, isn't it? Now let's see if we can figure this out. Finally turn that music off. Got to turn the cabin lights on. Yeah, where's that? Is that not here? Temperature, music, pilot call, stewardess phone. Cabin light? Is that cabin lights? No. Must be somewhere in here that I've missed a switch, hey? Is it down here? Maybe it's down here. Oh, here we go, cabin lights. Entrance light we don't need. Evac lights, normal. Found it. Hey, they're on. All the passengers sat in the dark, yeah. Well, that's the problem. We're flying this plane as a single pilot with no flight attendants to help us, so no one to turn the lights on in the back. Okay, so there is a single toilet in the back here, and a secret curtain. No one knows what's behind there. Toilet's not accessible. I know everyone always likes to know that, but yeah, 2-3 configuration, not quite wide enough for a 3-3. It's quite interesting, right? Inside the cabin it looks quite short and squat. Short and squat. We're all used to airliners these days where they sort of extend back for 50 rows. And this one not quite so long. Just a little regional jet, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure what the seat width and pitch is, to be honest, Rose Tiger. These threes don't look super comfortable, do they? Look a little bit squeezed. We do have, hopefully, some... Let's see. The 2 is nice. I always like planes with a 2 configuration, yeah. You don't feel like you're crammed in with a random quite so much, do you? There's a nice wing view. That side. We might just hop over to the other side and set up a wing view over there as well. I probably should hop back into the cockpit then and switch my VORs. Oh, we've still got a wing light on here. we go. 343. Oh no! Oh no! We were outside the cockpit at the opportune moment. That's the overspeed warning, everyone. We'll just come back on the power a little bit and just let that bleed off a little quickly. There we go. There's always that risk when you're looking around the cabin for that long, isn't there? Just bug that speed just below. We bug like decimal, what, 7.2 where we are now. We'll see whether we can sort of maintain it. No auto throttle on this plane, so it is just all manual throttle manipulations. Is why we've ended up with that. We should probably command this pitch to be, yeah, practice that. It's interesting that you have to command the flight director yourself to do things. Very different from a modern aircraft in that way. Okay, I think I'm gonna, before I'm tempted to go back into the cabin and then be outside the cockpit and have more issues, I'll just close that door up. Yeah, what I wanted to do was flip-flop onto nav 1 now, right? So let's set the heading bug back to heading. And flip-flop to nav 1. Hopefully it's super different. Just continue flying direct there. And back to the VOR. Alright, Rose, thanks for being here. Enjoy your lunch. Back to the VOR. 37 miles to go until this VOR, so we should probably set up the next VOR, which I think is already going to be Garderman. It is. It is already going to take us to Oslo. I hope there's a VOR at Oslo. Oh, what are we doing? I think we're just lining up with this radial. Not quite as clever at lining with radials as playing with a nice fancy magenta line navigation display, is it? But kind of nice, regardless, to fly something like this. Yeah, given that we've got a little bit of time now, we might just take a look at this approach briefing. A little bit of a different approach, given that we don't have a GPS. So all of the arrivals for Oslo are RNAVs. If I bring this up on screen, here's what an RNAV arrival looks like, right? Like, there's GPS waypoints. We would fly in like this, we'd fly around this little circle, it would take us in and line us up with the runway. Unfortunately, they're all RNAV, we don't have a GPS, we can't fly those. So what we're going to do is hop straight over to the approach. And I think we're flying runway 19 again. There is an ILS for runway 19, which will prove useful. However, we can't actually get to Garderman from here. There's no way of getting there, apart from there's a VOR. So what I actually am going to do is fly to this VOR, 115.95, and then we'll fly the VOR approach. So outbound, we're probably a class Charlie, so we'll go outbound on a 29 radial, 13 miles outbound. We'll do a nice turn, and a rate turn, join the inbound of 193, and then fly down. At this point around here, we'll flip-flop over to the ILS frequency. Then we'll have a glide slope to help us out. But that's good. So we got a double. And just to help us plan, we want to be 4,000 feet when we get to the Gardermoen VOR, so we can use the just looking for the FP while it wasn't there. Halfway through, we're about halfway through according to Claw now. Yeah, so if we go here, there's a top of descent calculator which will help us. we'll sync up our speed. Our target altitude is 4,000 at that VOR and 3 degrees. So 75 miles is what we need to leave. And the final leg is 82 miles. So pretty much once we've finished our turn after this VOR, then we're going to start our descent. So everything's just happening real quick. Real quick. At the moment we're flying on nav 1, so I won't touch nav 1, but I'm going to hop over here to nav 2 and get that one ready to go. And nav 2, going to tune 115.95, which is Gardermont. Here you go, you can see the VOR. See the VOR here, 115.95. And I'm expecting the course to be about 299, but essentially we're just going to fly direct to it once we get there. I'll get that ready anyway, that should be about right. So we got 115 and 299 on nav 2, but we're flying on nav 1 at the moment, and we've got a little bit slow while I was doing all that, so I'll put a bit more power in. And only 12 miles to go until we hit our Karlstad North. You are. Yeah, it's looking good to me. I've got my heading bug aligned, so I can flip to heading quite nicely. Yeah, so after this turn, we're pretty much going to have to start our descent. Yeah, it's a relatively short flight. It's what I wanted for this first review flight, test flight. Check the in-sim map. That's cheating, boy. You got an A320. You can check your Mach 2. Fair enough, if it works for you. Alright, I'm sure there's probably some stuff that I should be doing right about now. It feels a little bit wrong to just be sat here chilling in a plane like this when we're about to be descending into a major international airport, but I think so far so good. So far so good. We're a bit slower than I'd like, but maybe we'll be thankful for that when we come to descend. You've bought it as well, Windhoose XP. I think you won't regret it. It's a very enjoyable aircraft. Definitely. Right, so we're in the cone of confusion now. The mysterious cone of confusion, right above the Karlstad VOR, so it doesn't know where we are. And now we're going outbound. What I actually want to do is just flip to nav 2. And we'll go heading bug, and we'll start turning towards nav 2 here. It should take us pretty much to Gardermont, although we're not picking up not quite picking up this VOR, I don't think. Could fly nav 1 299. While we're on a heading, let's do this. Alright, I think we need to keep turning. Interesting that it's not picking up that VOR just yet. That's pretty concerning. That's alright, we'll be fine. We should probably start descending already. So I'm going to go to IAS mode and just start pulling the power back until we get to about 2,000 feet per minute descent rate. Yep. Oh. Kent Village, hello. We are starting a slow descent here. very well. Oh, I've got to do this. That's why it's not liking it. Okay. My bad. 4,000. Got to set the altitude. Yeah, it wasn't my birthday. That's a common thing, you know, like Sim Twitch. There we go, now we're descending. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks for asking. Enjoying this brand new plane. First flight. That noise that you hear just then, that beep, that's the gear horn, which is very sensitive. If you pull back the power too quickly at any point, the gear horn goes off. This is good, we're going to be at 250 knots on the descent. Might have started this descent just a little bit late, but otherwise we're okay. And we're going to grab this beam again. There we go. Now we're flying towards Oslo. Not picking up the other one for some reason. That's okay. Very good. Yeah, I would like to descend a bit faster than this. This is something that I've kind of struggled with. Yeah, see, you get that really annoying noise. Really annoying. There is a gear horn somewhere. There we go. Just get rid of that so that we can descend accordingly. Anyway, I'm glad we got rid of that. Now we can descend properly. Speed brake does make you drop faster, but we don't need it just yet. We can manage the descent with just going down to closer to idle thrust. Yeah, I'm still not picking up nav 2, am I? 1595. Not really picking it up, so we'll just continue on nav 1. It should get us pretty much there. Shame. I wonder if it's been decommissioned, the VOR over the top of Gardermoen. Yeah, it does have great sounds, definitely. This like turbojet sound, kind of like Concorde engine kind of sounds. Really nice. Anyway, descent's now going fine, so I'm alright with this. This leg, about 75 miles with 35 miles through it, so about 40 miles to go, and we've got to lose 18,000 feet. So yeah, we need to keep up the descent rate, definitely. 2,000 minimum. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying this plane so far. I mean, the obvious question is it worth is it worth $70? And I guess it comes down to, do you like this kind of plane? If you like more old school flying, you know, analog gauges, conventional navigation like we've been doing from VOR to VOR today, and it's probably the best plane for it in the sim. So if you like that stuff, then it's definitely worth $70 for you. If you like flying the Magenta line and a modern airliner, or if you like, you know, small GA planes, piston pounding at lower altitudes, it's probably not for you. So yeah, it's really like a question for yourself as to whether it's something that you'll enjoy, whether it's the type of product that you'll like. But Personally, I really like the challenge of these more, these older airliners. I really like the simplicity in a way of flying from VOR to VOR without a GPS. And I quite like working through a bit more of a mechanical overhead with big clunky switches and everything rather than looking at... I think that one should be on, eh? I just realized that probably should be on. Anyway, it obviously didn't impact us too badly. So yeah, for me it's worth $70 is the answer to the question. But for you, I guess it may vary depending on your own preferences. We are now we're doing okay, I think. Descending 15,000. We probably need to power even more here. We might turn the seatbelt signs back on as we're descending. And what we should do, actually, is set the new cabin pressure for the ground. So what I'm going to do is just find the airport elevation is 680 feet. So what we need is the cabin pressure to match the ground elevation when we land. Oh, we got a raid! Welcome everyone, thanks for the raid. Planes. TM4NES. Hi Planes, thanks for the raid. Welcome to the stream everyone. We are flying the brand new Just Flight Fokker F28 and we've just started our descent down into Oslo Gardermoen Airport. We're flying the Scandinavian colours and so far so good. It's been a really enjoyable flight. I'm loving this plane so far. We're at 15,000 feet and descending. So thanks very much, the raid. I hope you had a great stream. When we're within range, we can probably just put the ILS frequency in here. Kind of more like going to be flying back course ILS if we're not. Oh, we are picking it up now. Oh, perfect. We're picking it up. So, spoke too soon. What we're actually going to do is switch over to 11595. Make sure we're flying direct and go on that. So now we know that we're 22 miles away. Perfect. Slightly bumpy. Oh, it's been very smooth here in the Fokker. Must be able to ride the bumps well, this little plane. Yeah, so the modeling's good, the sounds are great. I haven't really come across any bugs or quirks or anything with it so far, to be honest. Usually with brand new planes in the sim, you do find something, but I haven't yet. The air gets more dense, we need to pull the power out because it keeps being in on us. That help? There we go. Really, we need to descend more than what we're... There we go. We're at 10,000 feet. What we might end up having to do is just fly outbound a little bit further. It's alright, as long as we're at the right altitude to join the ILS, we'll be okay. Speaking of the ILS, I might just tune that in on nav 1 now. So 19 right is what we're planning on. So we want 111.3 on nav 1. 111.3, and a course of 192 as the final ILS course. Go, that's set up now on nav 1. We're not flying that yet. We are still flying on nav 2 right now. It's okay. Jacko, that's alright. Thanks for being here. Hope you continue to have a safe drive. And thanks for dropping in. When we get to about 5 miles out from this, switch over to the heading bug, change our course, and then we'll turn ourselves onto the new outbound course. So if you don't know what I'm doing is flying a mixed VOR ILS approach. So we're gonna hit the VOR first. Here, hit the VOR first. Coming in from the southeast here, gonna hit. Oh, we just appeared on the map. Gonna hit this VOR, then we're gonna make a right turn. We're gonna fly outbound. We're gonna continue flying outbound. We'll start turning ourselves inbound, and at some point, we'll turn far enough inbound that we'll pick up the ILS, so that we can fly down the hill and into runway 19 right to Cardamom. That's the plan anyway. If we can broadly execute that plan, I'll be pretty happy. So we've got our heading bug aligned. That's really important when flying this thing. To keep that heading bug nice and aligned. And change our course here to 029. So as you can see, we're basically going to have to make a right-hand 90-degree turn. Which will start once we get sort of around 2 miles overhead of the field. There's the airport, nicely beneath us, so our VOR is clearly working. Now we're going to make this right turn. We get it right, basically got a 90-degree right turn. I would like to have been a little bit lower at this point so that we can start slowing down as well. I know we took off from 19 right and we're landing on 19 right. Just coincidence that both of these airports are oriented in the same direction, eh? So, I actually think you try and pick up this beam. Get it? We more or less got it. We more or less got it. There we go. I should have just continued that turn. That's okay. We saved it. Saved it. There we go. So 6,000 feet now. Everything's looking nice. Like that. Once we hit 4,000 feet, we're going to hold our altitude there. And we're going to keep flying outbound 13 DME, 13 miles. And that little segment where we're flying level, I'm hoping we'll be able to use to slow down a little bit. I want to get to more like 200 knots in order to make the inbound turn. But look at this, we're flying the outbound absolutely beautifully here. Love it when a plan comes together. That means 1,000 feet to go. So yeah, we're not going to have much of a level segment, but enough of a level segment that it'll work for us, I think. What we should have done already is turn our lights on, so extend all of those. Yep. Oops. A Go, lights are on. Hitting 4,000 feet, and that is gonna enable us just to slow down a little bit now. Very good. We got about 3 miles of slowing down. It's got a very cool radar altimeter, this thing, as you can see here. And that does remind me, we should set our ILS minima. Is what? Radar is actually 220, so we'll just set that up. Actually, in this plane, it's probably 344. I'm gonna set that up. Set our minima. 3, 4, 4, and it's bouncing around just because we're bouncing around the edge of the radar altimeter, 2,500 feet. Speeds come back quite nicely. Put a bit more power in so that we don't lose too much speed. And we've gone past the 13, so I'm gonna click over to nav 1. Oops, should have been on heading mode then. We'll click over to nav 1. We'll start making our inbound turn. Down turn. Not busy. Anyone here? Can't see any. I think I've got name tags turned off. Inbound turn. Our radio altimeter coming alive again. Not too bad. Managed to miraculously fly. Oh, laps 11. Okay, I think we lost a bit more speed than I was anticipating. So it wants our flaps out, but that's good. It's telling us what to do. Probably want to just come around a tiny bit more here. And there we go. And we'll try and pick up this beam now. If I arm that beam, yeah, that's good. Localizer is active. At some point I need to figure out how to arm my lift dumper. At the moment it's just in, but that should say ready when it's ready to deploy. So far so good. Should pick up this beam pretty soon. I hope. It's moving now.
Localizer.
Localizer, yeah. Pick it up. Oh, there we go. It's got it now. And if we run VATSIM, we would be established on the localizer for runway 19. Right, we're not. This first flight. Oh, so good. The second flight, I reckon I'll be able to fly through the setup. Pretty straightforward overhead panel. A bug. HI, sorry. I wanna be right there. See it happening. And if we turn glide on, that should arm the glide slope as well. I think it's coming down towards us. How do I arm that one? I don't want to deploy them in flight. I don't think that happens anyway, but yeah, I'm not sure how to deploy the lift dumpers. You need to like arm something. That's the speed break, okay. Okay, we're established on the ILS. We'll start slowing down a bit. We're 8.5 miles out, so we should definitely start slowing down. Seems really slippery, this plane. Arm button at the bottom of the lever track. Aha. Thanks. I'm going to drop the gear just to help with a bit of drag here, because we are a little bit fast. The landing gear will help. There we go, it's coming down. It's slow. It's almost like my hydraulic pressure's low. Don't tell me I've done something like that. I think we're good, I think we're good. There you go, speed's coming back. We're good. Let's start putting our flaps out.
Flaps 25.
There we go. Flaps are out. Get more power so we don't stall her out. And full flaps. And we're on VREF, more or less, VREF plus a bit. And in and down quite nicely. Apparently the landing technique is that you do deploy your speed brake in order to land, so otherwise it's a bit of a floater, this one. So we'll try and just dump the speed brake as we get to about 30 feet while it's pulling the thrust levers to idle. And I don't have much of a feel for this plane yet, so I'm actually going to disconnect the autopilot now and give it a go at... there we go, we're disconnected. And hand flying for a bit. Seems pretty nice so far. Same as the 146. Yeah, I think that's what I've read as well. Give it a shot anyway, Abby. We're soon going to find out. It's pretty well trimmed here. Oh! Crap. I clicked the wrong button. I was like... Click the view button, not the trim button. Not what you want to do on shot final. Yeah, it's very stable. I'm enjoying flying this. A little bit high. Hello. You had a bouncy landing. Oh, we got very high all of a sudden.
100 feet to minimum.
Is a minimum coming up?
Minimum.
Minimum. Thank you. Gonna land. So we are a bit high. Yep. Back on profile, more or less. Come on, center line.
50. 40. 30.
Okay, there's a speed brake. Oof! It is a floater.
10.
Ah! Very floater. Oof. Okay, I need a bit of practice with this one. Not too bad for a first landing, but a little bit not well controlled landing is how I describe that one. Anyway, no reverses, no auto brake, so we'll just hold the brakes here. Oops. And we'll exit to the left. Did everything work? Yeah, our dumpers worked, our speed brake worked. Good. Guessing those, there we go. If we just push our speed brakes back, it'll bring the dumpers back. Brake a bit here, and some lights off. We're off. We've got our strobes off as well. Strobes are off. Damper. Probably should do that in the air. You turn the damper off. And back in standby. Yeah, we didn't kill any passengers for our first flight, which is always a nice bonus. Anyway, welcome to Oslo Gardermoen Airport. Pull up at a gate and I'll give a little wrap up for the first flight review, and then second flight we'll just do a bit more chill. We'll run through and set up from cold and dark again for the people who couldn't catch it at the start of the stream, and we'll do another sort of shorter flight. We're probably gonna do on Batson if we can. So yeah, forgive my terrible taxiing, but we'll just rush this. Is there any VATSIM on in Australia at the moment for our second flight? Bendigo. I was just gonna do Canberra, to be honest. So we're not too fussy here, so we'll take it in. None of these ones. Boarding music is a vibe, yeah, right? Totally. Taxi light off. Bump there on the way in. I'm probably gonna have to leave some space for this. Way to. Don't think. Anyway, okay, we'll just park it up there. Probably gonna sleep. That's alright. Cool. Well, welcome to Gardermoen. Relatively successful first flight. Oh, I didn't start the APU, damn. Oh, we can cheat it. The ground power on. Grab that jetway. We'll switch over to ground power. Just felt the ground power flip over, but I can't remember where the is. Isn't it down here somewhere? External power's on. There we go. So we can then shut the engines down. There we go, everyone. First flight. That is not. No, it's not. It's not Orbex. No. There we go, everyone. First flight in the Just Flight F28 Fokker, the little Fokker. And what can I say? As a quick summary, I would say I really like it. Like I was saying in flight, it hand flies really nicely. It's very, very fun. It's got a few added features like the flight attendant panel and the music, which just cool things that we haven't seen in the sim. If you're not a fan of old school airliners and flying VOR to VOR, then you probably won't like it. So don't spend your $70 on it. If you are a fan of this kind of flying, then this is probably the best version of this kind of flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you've got $70 to spend, then you could do a lot worse than spending them on the F28. Yeah, I am going to do a second flight now. If you're interested in watching us do another setup, and that'll probably be in Australia in an Ansett livery to suit the theme of the channel, which is obviously by us flying in Australia. There's Melbourne app dep on. Oh, okay. The only thing is Melbourne to Canberra is probably. So I'm just going to take a tiny